Hey everybody, I wanted to make this video all about a bunch of brand new, really exciting records that have just been listed to my website, needlemeetsvinyl.com. I also want to talk about a sale that I'm having for Black Friday Record Store Day this Friday. And I will talk about all of those things, but first let's get into the records. So they're all right here, and I'm going to go kind of quickly through them, but I will explain why each one sounds as good as it does, and talk a little bit about the pressings as I go. So let's get right into it. The first record here is by Paul McCartney. This is called McCartney 2. This was released in 1980. This happens to be a UK pressing, a very early UK pressing. In fact, it's so early that on the back here, it has a sticker that says factory sample, not for sale. And this record is in absolutely amazing shape. It's on the Parlophone label, as you can see there. And I played this up against early US pressings, a German pressing, and a Japanese pressing. And this UK pressing absolutely just blows all of those out of the water. This is really an exceptional pressing of McCartney 2. And if you've never heard a UK pressing of McCartney 2, it's a whole nother experience. It's really fantastic. And of course, some of the big songs from this album are Coming Up, which is the song that famously, when John Lennon heard that song, it made him want to start writing songs again, which is pretty cool. It also has the song Temporary Secretary, which is one of my wife and I's favorite, just kind of weird, wacky McCartney songs. Has the song Waterfalls, song Dark Room, which I really like. It's kind of funny. It's got a bunch of really cool, just kind of wacky McCartney tunes. So if you like your Paul McCartney a little bit weird, McCartney 2 is the album for you. So check this one out on the website. Now, I'm very excited to get another one of these on my website. This is Jimi Hendrix Experience. This is Access Bold as Love. This is the second album that Jimi put out. And this one sounds absolutely phenomenal. I had this up on the website a couple months ago, and I'm so happy to get it up there again. As you can see, it's on the US Reprise label, but it's an early pressing. It's on the tri-colored Reprise label, and this is in absolutely amazing condition. So an excellent pressing. And if you have not heard this record, or if you have heard this record but you haven't heard it on this label, you are in for a treat, because it will blow your mind, especially Little Wing and If 6 Was 9. Those songs on here, unbelievable. So check this one out for sure. Now, I have a couple of Pink Floyd albums. I finally got my hands on a really clean, really excellent copy of Wish You Were Here. This is Pink Floyd's album that they released in 1975. And this is an early 80s pressing of the album. And it sounds absolutely fantastic. And I played it up against an US 1975 pressing, and this one actually beat it. And, you know, sometimes it just happens that the early pressings aren't always the best pressings. It just depends on, you know, how it was pressed, where it was pressed, all that kind of stuff. But this one does sound absolutely fantastic. So if you like Pink Floyd and you like this absolutely classic album, this might be a good one for you to check out. And by the way, it's dead quiet. And those of you who have this album or you've been looking for it know how hard it is to find quiet vinyl for this album, because there's so many quiet passages. And as you know, quiet passages reveal any type of imperfection in the vinyl. So this one is really a cool pressing. So that's Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. And then I also have Pink Floyd's The Wall. And I had this up on the website, not this very copy, but another copy of this a couple months ago. And I found another one, and this one sounds absolutely amazing. And again, in the dead wax, it has TML, which is so important. And that's what the best sounding versions of The Wall have in the dead wax. And this one has it on all four sides. So if you're in the market to pick up Pink Floyd's The Wall, this one is for you. Moving on, trying to go kind of quickly here. This is the band Love. This is their album Da Capo. And this sounds really, really good. This is on the Elektra label. And it's on the Elektra Red label, which is, it's not a first pressing. It's a little bit later. I think this is like a late 60s pressing. But it's absolutely as clean as can be. And it sounds really, really, really great. If you don't know about the band Love, they are an early garage rock, psychedelic rock, just excellent, excellent, excellent band. And if you're into that 60s kind of raw, almost like early kind of punk music, this is the album for you. And they are just a fantastic, fantastic band. And their records are getting harder and harder to find. The original records. They have a lot of reissues out, which are, some of them are very good. I know like Sundays, I think, put out all of the Love albums. But finding original pressings, it's getting harder and harder to do. So this is really, really a rare one. So check this one out on the website. Now this is an absolutely stunning record. And I got to say, when I put this on, I mean, I go through a lot of records, and every once in a while you put on a record and it just stops you in your tracks, and I forget about the website, I forget about everything else, and I just listen to it all the way through. And this is one of those. This is The Police. This is their album Ghost in the Machine. And this happens to be a super disc. Now, this was a half-speed, used the half-speed mastering technique. And, you know, I've read some kind of not so great things about this company that did a bunch of these in the 1980s. But say what you will about whatever else they did, this one sounds absolutely unbelievable. So if you love this album but you haven't heard this pressing, I recommend it highly because it's so, so fantastic. That is what the record looks like, and it's in absolutely brilliant, brilliant shape. And of course, this album is just a classic Police album. It's definitely my favorite Police album. It's got a bunch of classic songs on here like Spirits in the Material World, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, Demolition Man is fantastic. Just got a bunch of great songs. So if you like the Police and you like this album, this is the one for you. So check this one out. Ghost in the Machine. Now, I have a couple of compilations that I've specifically put on the website at a very reasonable price, with the intention of, if you maybe are interested in getting into an artist, but you don't want to jump into just like a random album, a compilation is a great place to start. And these three compilations are all really, really top notch. And in fact, this Roy Orbison compilation called The Best of Roy Orbison, this is from 1966. This sounds unbelievable. This is a phenomenal record. And when it comes to Roy Orbison, in my opinion, Roy Orbison, he was an artist that was around before the whole idea of albums. So he would release a lot of just singles that were just unbelievable. And this record has, every single song is an absolute mega hit. And they all sound just really, really great. So check this one out. If you are just on the fence about Roy Orbison, or maybe you don't know about Roy Orbison, or you just know Pretty Woman, this will blow your mind because he's got so many amazing songs. And speaking of Pretty Woman, it's probably one of the most overplayed songs of all time, right? But on this pressing, you will have a new appreciation for it because you can hear so many things in the mix that you can't hear when you're listening to it on the radio or wherever else, because it's an absolutely really phenomenal song. And it's totally a rock song, by the way. The guitars in there, really great. And on this pressing, you can hear all of those features that you can't really hear elsewhere. So Roy Orbison, The Best of, excellent, excellent compilation. Moving on, this is another great compilation. This is Buddy Holly and the Crickets. This is 20 Golden Greats. Now, this one, the thing about Buddy Holly is, Buddy Holly obviously recorded all of his music was recorded in the 1950s. And a lot of it's not, top-notch recordings, but they sound really good. So his music, in my opinion, it's good when you get it in the compilation because you just get all the hits, and it's all about the songs. It's not really about the sound quality because it's hard to find Buddy Holly recordings or records the original pressings. All of those go for big bucks. In fact, I've never even heard them, so I don't even know what they sound like. So I'm only aware of Buddy Holly when it comes to compilations. And this is one of the best, in my opinion. I have a couple of compilations, but I have one of these ones in my collection, and I just absolutely love it. You get 20 classic Buddy Holly songs, and so if you're looking for Buddy Holly, this is the one for you. Moving on, this is the Grateful Dead's compilation. This is called What a Strange Trip It's Been. This is a double album, and if you're just on the fence about the Grateful Dead, as so many people are, because the Grateful Dead, in my opinion, are very... If you don't know about them, they seem like they're just like a stoner jam band that don't really have any songs. And I was one of the people that thought that for the longest time. But they actually have a lot of songs, a lot of really great songs. They're all great musicians. And I think, they are definitely a hippie band, but they're a lot more than just a hippie band. And if you have never really experienced their music other than like Truckin' or a couple of other hits they have, you will really enjoy this compilation because they have some really great songs on here. And the cool thing about this is it's a double album. One of the records has their studio recordings, and the other record is a bunch of live tracks that they've taken. And the Grateful Dead are one of the best live bands, or were one of the best live bands of all time. I mean, their shows are just like known as just some of the most crazy events of all time, right? So this is the Grateful Dead, and this is their double album compilation. So check this out if you want to get into the Grateful Dead. Now I got two more records to show you. This one I'm really excited about. This is Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. This is his album, Couldn't Stand the Weather. And this just sounds so fantastic. I've always been a big fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan, and finding his records, original early pressing records in the record stores, seems to be very hard, at least around here. Maybe in Texas and places where he was more popular, it's a little bit easier to find his records, but out here, for some reason, it's kind of difficult. This is an original record on the Epic label, and it has Sterling on both sides in the dead wax, which usually means the record's going to sound amazing, and this one definitely does. So if you like Stevie Ray Vaughan, or if you just want to get into Stevie Ray Vaughan, this is an excellent album to start with. It has his cover of Jimi Hendrix song Voodoo Child, and it also has a bunch of other really great songs like Cold Shot, which was a big hit for Stevie Ray Vaughan. So excellent record. And last but not least, this is a record by Bob Dylan. This is his album called New Morning. And New Morning, in my opinion, is one of Bob Dylan's most overlooked albums. During the late 60s, he put out a couple of questionable records, one of them being an album called Self-Portrait, which didn't really go over that well with the critics. It's kind of gotten a little bit more of appraisal later on in the years. I still kind of like that album just because it's kind of funny. He has that weird voice where he's singing like this, which I think is hilarious. But on this is the album he released right after Self-Portrait, and he lost that voice. He sings back to his normal kind of Dylan voice, and it has a bunch of really great songs on this album, like If Not For You, a song that they used in The Big Lebowski called The Man in Me. Just has a bunch of really great songs, and this is a very early pressing on the Columbia label, which I'll show you, and it's just in really excellent shape. So if you're looking to check out New Morning, this is the pressing for you. So those are the new records that I've just listed to the website, but there are a bunch of other records on there right now as well. So go on the website, check those out, and let me talk about the sale I'm having on Black Friday. So if you enter in, actually let me explain this a little bit better. So if you spend $60 or more at checkout, if you enter in Record Store Day 2019, and you'll see that down below there, enter it in just like that in all caps, you will get $10 off your entire order. So that's a pretty cool deal, and there are just so many records on my website right now. So go on there, check it out. If you want to search for records, there's a search feature on my website. Just click the search button, type in whatever you want, see what's there. Also, on the left-hand column, I've broken it down into major artists. So there's a Beatles section, there's a Led Zeppelin section, there's a Rolling Stones section, there's a Pink Floyd section, there's a Bob Dylan, and there's the jazz section. Speaking of the jazz section, I have a lot of fantastic jazz records currently on the website. So definitely check that out. If you're looking to get into jazz, or if you already love jazz, there's some amazing pressings on there right now. And speaking of Beatles, by the way, all of any Beatles record or solo Beatles record on Friday, if you enter in the code Beatles at checkout, you will get 15% off any Beatles or solo Beatles album that I have on the website right now. And I believe there are a few Beatles titles on there still. I think there's a Beatles Rarities album, there's a Beatles Love Songs, and for solo Beatles, I have a John Lennon Live Peace in Toronto record. I believe there's also John Lennon Rock and Roll album still up. There's a bunch of Paul McCartney stuff, including his first album, McCartney 2, that I just talked about. There's Wings London Town, and there's Wings Red Rose Speedway as well. So pretty good amount of Beatles stuff on there that you could save some money on Friday. So I hope you all will go on Friday to my website and check out all these new records and all the records I have on there already. So go to needlemeetsvinyl.com and take advantage of this sale, because I really think it's going to be beneficial to all of you. And I have to say, thank you all so much for your continued support. It's really, really overwhelming. Each and every time someone buys a record, it's so exciting for me. It's just, I start jumping around, and it's really, really fun, because this idea of having an online record store was just a dream, and it's really become a reality, and it's so much fun. And I really appreciate all of you supporting it. Even if you don't buy records from me, all of you that just send such kind words of support, it really does mean a lot, and I appreciate it. So thank you all very much. I hope you all have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I know I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. I love Thanksgiving. So much fun. So that's it for now. Go to the website, needlemeetsvinyl.com. Check out what I have, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.